Distressed and traumatised, but it's back to court for a Christchurch couple at the centre of a mammoth battle with Southern Response, even though the pair begged the quake insurer not to drag them through yet more legal action. The state-owned insurer today confirmed it's appealing an earlier High Court decision that found it guilty of misleading and deceptive behaviour when it shortchanged Karl and Alison Dodds hundreds of thousands of dollars after their quake-damaged house was written off. It ordered Southern Response to pay up. The Dodds say they were tricked into accepting a lower offer from Southern Response and later discovered the insurer had kept secret from them a second, much higher estimate to rebuild their damaged house. Their lawyer, Peter Woods, describes the meeting this morning when the Dodds were told by government ministers and the head of Southern Response that they were being taken back to court.
Well, the reasons the ministers gave was that the decision has an impact on how Southern Response needs to deal with claims that have already been settled, and they want to appeal it to get more clarity on Southern Response's obligations. I think for the Dodds, that's cold comfort. They've been dragged through this in their personal capacity on their own, and they were hoping that the High Court judgment would bring this to an end. They are very disappointed about that. But having said that, I think they see that there are a lot of other claims out there, and that potentially Southern Response's exposure is so huge that the Crown could take the view that an appeal is necessary. They were given some solace by the ministers by the fact that they've agreed to pay their costs to date and their costs of the appeal. But still, the Dodds were really disappointed that it's still going to go on and on.
What was it like in that room? What was the atmosphere like?
The meeting was very respectful from both sides. The ministers explained the position clearly, and the Dodds were very disappointed, and I think they are traumatised by the whole process and were distressed by the thought that this is just going to keep going on and on.
Were you given any indication in this meeting how many other cases there are or the potential liability for the Crown? Did they disclose any of that information?
No, they didn't give us any information on the potential extent of the exposure.
So do you think that the state-owned insurer, Southern Response, is acting in good faith here? The former minister, Megan Woods, she gave several clear directives that she wanted these matters out of the court. So are the Dodds being dealt with in good faith here?
Well, I think there's two positions. There's the individual case of the Dodds and the distress that they've suffered by having to do this on their own. But when you look at the broader picture, probably the quickest way to get certainty is for the Dodds case to get to the Court of Appeal, rather than if having a raft of other cases that follow the Dodds case going to the High Court and then beyond. The flip side of that is Southern Response could have just put its hands up and said, hey, the High Court said this, we'll follow that, and we'll act on the basis of what Justice Kendall said.
That's the thing. They don't need another court decision, do they? If they wanted to, they could just say, OK, we are going to pay people the difference.
I agree. They could just rely on the High Court judgment and say, this is the law, this is what we need to do to fix it.
You indicated there that a gesture was made. The Dodds' legal expenses so far and for the appeal, the bill is going to be picked up. I don't want to put you on the spot here, but I mean, how much does a saga like this cost a person in legal fees?
I can't give you an estimate of the cost of the appeal because I haven't seen the notice of appeal yet. I don't know what the grounds of appeal are yet. But the claim through the High Court is well north of $100,000. And it's very significant financial pressure, particularly when you're the respondent. As an individual, you've done your bit, you've gone to the High Court, and then the government, in effect, appeals. It's got all the resources it has, and you're on your own. So having that gesture of the government picking up the costs, two things really huge. That is a huge relief for the Dodds. Secondly, it reflects that it's a test case.
And that's Peter Woods, who's the lawyer for Alison and Karl Dodds.